Good afternoon. Welcome to the meeting of the Georges River Local Planning Panel for Thursday, 3 April 2025. My name is Anthony Hudson and I'm the chair of this panel. The panel is currently streaming from the Georges River Council offices in McMahon Street, Hurstville. The panel members today are Helen Deegan on my right, Stephen Alchin on my left, and further on my left is Jenny Simpson, who is the community rep, the other two being expert panel members. The panel has been appointed by the Minister for Planning to determine specified development applications, including the applications that are on the agenda today, in accordance with the requirements of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act. Acknowledgement of country. The Georges River Local Planning Panel acknowledges the Bidjigal people of the Eora Nation, who are the traditional custodians of all lands, waters and sky in the Georges River area. We pay our respect to elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples who live, work and meet on these lands. I'm required to advise that under the provisions of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act, this meeting of the panel is being live streamed and will be made available on Council's website. People who are interested, have been interested to make representations have registered, and we have 4 registrations which we'll hear of people who wish to speak, which we'll hear shortly. And they are, well, I'll call them out when we come to them. As required by the Local Planning Panel Code of Conduct, panel members are required to disclose any conflicts of interest in respect of any matter on the agenda for a panel meeting. The relevant forms as prescribed by the Department of Planning have been completed and are tabled for Council to be included in the online minutes of the meeting. No panel member has disclosed any conflict of interest in any matter on today's agenda. The panel has received completed assessment reports for 3 matters, 3 development applications. We've been to the sites today and the nearby areas. We'll deal with each matter in turn and I'll call them out when I come to them. As we progress through the matters on the agenda, only the persons who have registered to speak will be able to make representations. I think we've only got applicants today, so the 3-minute rule will just, it's probably not that. If there's any objectors, someone does come, that'll be 3 minutes. Anyone speaking by Teams, if they could have their volume off for the time being until there's and camera off until it's their turn to speak. To manage live stream, yeah, said that, Mark. At this time, I remind everybody that any defamatory, discriminatory or offensive language used may result in the author being exposed to a liability for which the Council and the panel take no responsibility. Once we've heard all the oral submissions, we'll move into the next of each application. We'll move into the next application and people can come and go as they wish. We will then go into a private session after this public session is completed. The private session is not live streamed or recorded. The determinations of the panel will be on the Council's website once confirmed by the panel, usually in 2 to 3 days. And I'll now call the first item, 19 to 23 Empress Street, Hurstville. Application for the construction of a 4-storey residential flat building containing 28 apartments and basement parking. And I think I've got Theodore Lucas.
Panel chair, panel members, council staff, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to speak. We were the architects for both the original scheme and this scheme. First, I want to commend council in working with us and looking into the amendments that we're requesting. And it's more based on amendments for buildability, NCC 19 to NCC 22, and the changes. We've already got a CC issued for the actual project, so it makes it a bit more complicated. So we're kind of limited in the amendments we could do, but we've just amended the building so it can be built easier, cleaner, and the building will actually function as well. So we worked with council in terms of the conditions, and we were asked, what conditions can be implemented or not based on what is there, like in terms of there's already whole beds and stuff like that. So council worked with us quite well. There's only one request that I've got, and I can see why the council planner noted on the drawings, which is condition number 1, or the list of drawings, that drawing number DA 1020 and DA 1030, which is the basement 1 plan and the ground floor plan. When we lodge the amendments, sometimes if you're not switching off one layer versus another layer, you'll get a double up of issues. So she's written in there issue or revision A and B. It should just say, it can say revision A and B if council or the panel wishes to leave it like that, but there may be a bit of confusion with the actual certifier. So it's actually issue B, and I've actually submitted those drawings to council as well. All I've done is actually removed one letter over the other, and if we can have the opportunity to upload those drawings, that's all we've actually done. So.
Yes. And if you could turn yours on, I think is the way it works. Just on your amendments, and you've got the red down the side, it's got A, the Hebel.
Yes.
We just couldn't find any reference to A, Hebel, on the plan. And I'm just wondering where that might be. So it says in the report that it's on the ground floor, the Hebel. So we went to the ground floor and the elevations, and your table key says A equals that, but we couldn't find an A in a red.
Okay, the A is actually for the amendment. So in terms of that, it's pretty much whole ground floor. Elevation.
What elevation?
I'm talking about this little A here up in the red here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so what is this? The list of amendments there, the vendors for the whole set.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
The A will, I believe the A should be.
Every other one has got a little, somewhere you can find K, C, J, L, M, or whatever. Just couldn't find A. I'm assuming it's the whole ground floor. Right. Yeah. And so that will up to the slab level of the next floor, and all that, wherever it's Hebel, will be painted or something, obviously, I suppose.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's dark colour as well. You can barely see it. A lot of it's under the ground.
Yeah.
In some places you can see it. Sorry. Yeah. So what we've done is we've just replaced that material on the ground floor, so that way. And I believe it should be picked up on the Hebel should be picked up on the finisher schedule or the elevation itself. Does it say Hebel anywhere? Or paint on the, yeah.
Sorry, yeah, of course. Yeah, I remember.
Oh, yeah, that way. It's just difficult to read, I guess, on the plans. It's mentioned here, but it's a bit hard to identify. So you're saying it's all the brickwork on the lower level, on the first floor level, not the upper levels.
Yes, it's a lot. Yeah, that's right. Correct. Yes.
Happens in every panel.
Could I just ask the purpose of the difference materiality? What the?
It's just for constructability. So a lot of that's underground. So to have brickwork underground, you end up with a lot of issues. So that's why we've changed it to Hebel. Better waterproofing, and so and a lot easier to construct. So.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Now that brings me to the second matter, 14A Carlton Crescent, Catherine Chesterman.
Hello, thank you for giving me this opportunity. So I'm the architect representing my client for this project, alterations and additions to a two-story existing detached dwelling. So my understanding is that the planners have recommended this application for approval. I'm just here really to answer any questions that you have, if you have any.
Just one thing, have you seen the conditions? Have you seen the report? It doesn't sound like.
Yes.
Any issue? Okay, right. Oh, okay, right. Yeah, but
No.
apparently you can have them on both together.
Thank you.
Sorry. Are you okay with those or any issues?
Yes.
Any questions? Yeah. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
The last one is 297 to 303 Princess Highway, Mason Stankovic and Stephen Manton, who's online, I understand. Good afternoon.
Thank you for allowing me to speak today, Mr. Chair. My name is Mason Stankovic from Patch Planning. Obviously, we have no issues with the recommendation from Council. We'd like to thank their pragmatic approach. There was additional information provided today, and hopefully that did sort of address concerns in relation to traffic. The traffic generation, the way parking has been approached, has been based on a nationally accepted study that's been prepared by the Association for Self-Storage. That's typically what we would rely on across the board for sites, not just New South Wales wide, but nationally. We do also have our traffic engineer to perhaps speak to more technical aspects of the way that traffic's been addressed, but otherwise there's nothing further from myself to comment. With no issue with conditions, given they're simply just an update to plans.
Thank you. I one or two questions. You say the report by Stantec has been prepared by the Storage Association, but accepted by others. Is there documentation to demonstrate how it's been picked up or applied or to be used, or about the rates of parking supply? Just, I suppose I was questioning some stuff. So if the amount of floor space is increasing by 55%, and I don't, have no reason to doubt the results from the report by Stantec, it still nevertheless surprised me that there would only be a rather smaller increase in potential peak demand or overall demand. And I'm just wondering whether you or Stantec have any views on that. Unfortunately, you mentioned that some information had been supplied today. I haven't had a chance to have a look at that. I wasn't aware that something had come through.
Yeah, so we received the request. I think you'd sent it through at around 12:20 last night.
Yeah, that was me, sorry.
Following that, we'd sent through the underlying study that is the basis for, which is what.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes. So that's based on a survey of around about 1,000 sites around Australia. It's all based on electronic data around in and out of customers that utilise these self-storage facilities. I think it's probably important to differentiate between a storage unit development that might be strated off. These are all built to whole developments that are operated as a business in a business model, like your Storage Kings, your Kennard storages and the like. So that's the underlying basis for the demand. There's obviously not a linear relationship between the increase in floor space and traffic. Also, that's what the study finds, and that study is a development of the Oricon study that was before that. So, and similarly, it has always been a nationally accepted study which relates to self-storage. The DCP rarely has rates for self-storage, with this always being what's relied on.
Thank you. I suppose, given that the consent was issued only 6 or 7 months ago. I was a bit surprised that there's this large increase in floor space that might have been addressed or proposed when the original development application was submitted. Can you just take us through what's changed?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and I sort of commend council on this as well. You know, the development's not easy at the moment, and there's an opportunity to basically achieve uplift in the site that may have been previously thought of as not an immediate thing. It may have been sort of in the future that might have been pursued, but you know, given the build is ongoing, our client has decided to pursue this uplift at this point in time. And that's why it's been proposed through the mod, so it can all be undertaken as one. There's a lot of demand in and around this area. You've got a lot of change in terms of the residential typology, and that puts a lot of demand on the need for self-storage. They've also got a site nearby, which is sort of probably not going to remain for much longer. It may be sold off, so there's you know, demand that's likely to come from that as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. One of the issues that came up last time was the applicant request for 24/7 operations, and that was knocked back, and certain hours were provided for. And a question I've got, I suppose, is about operational noise. The previous design had the principal loading unloading area, in a sense, shrouded or surrounded by the buildings containing the storage cages or facilities. The current proposal for the mod removes that loading unloading area, and essentially all the unloading or loading and unloading occurs out in the car park. And I suppose both in an absolute sense, whether that changes the acoustic, that has the potential to change the acoustic impacts of the development on surrounding development. And secondly, whether it also goes to the additional development that's would or usage of the facility that would arise inevitably from the use of the additional floor space. So, is there any acoustic report that deals with the consequential impacts on the acoustic environment in the area?
The acoustic report's about the only thing I don't have in front of me at the moment. I apologise, but I mean, the acoustic report did demonstrate continued compliance with the noise policy.
On the new development, on the mod.
On the mod, yeah. In terms of the addressing the difference between what was originally proposed and the modified development. Yeah.
Okay. And what, in summary, what did that acoustic report find?
So with the report in front of me here, so there was the traffic noise generated in the associated proposed development not having an increase of more than 2 dB, and it's considered insignificant in accordance with relevant criteria, and similarly continued compliance with the noise policy results from the mod.
Okay.
Is that in the report to us?
That's in the SEE. I don't have the report itself in front of me.
SEE for this applicant.
Correct. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. We might have to dig that out if we could. I think that's it in terms of questions from me for the time being.
You go.
I've just got a functional question, I guess, from experiences that you might be aware of with Storage King. With this amount of floor space, what tends to happen? The breakup of the spaces, within each. So there are cages or broken into smaller compartments. In terms of the demand that they're seeing in these types of areas, are they 10 square metre, 20 square metres? Have you got any information on that?
Yeah, usually around 10 to 20 square metres is what we'd expect for the majority of the units. Yeah.
And just on that, they were just looking at the conditions. Would there be any objection I suppose you have to come, when you come to build it, you come to grips with actually determining the sizes of the units and then building them accordingly. Is that, I assume that's what happens? Like for each of the spaces.
Yes, I mean,
So
so
there must be a plan that is produced to say there'll be a 10-metre one here, a 20-metre one. So
yeah, there is an sorry.
yeah. So I was just going to say, you don't have any objection to that being included as a condition that sort of plan should be approved as part of the CC.
I wouldn't have an objection with a need to provide that plan to council prior to undertaking the works or something similar to that.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
of that nature, I think that'd be fine and reasonable.
And then also just in the area, all the parking areas.
Yep.
I assume all those places, they're all just parking for people who come here. There's no problem again, I suppose, the signage and the condition that says you can't leave your car there for, permanently. I assume you don't want that sort of thing anyway.
No, and I'd go even further to say we'd be happy to have an operational plan of management or something prepared to respond accordingly. So that alleviates any concerns around people using their car for storage for extensive periods or something similar.
And following on virtually the same sort of idea is that you don't want people conducting businesses out of these. I mean, passive storage, if you like, is the way I was sort of thinking of it.
Again, that's not the sort of storage business that this is. It's much more. It's self-storage for
But there's no harm in then having a condition in case that happens, and then the council has something to.
I don't see an issue with that. I might get in trouble. I've got my client sitting behind me now, but I think that seems reasonable.
Yeah. All right. That was really all. I think that's all we had to ask, really. Thanks very much. Now, was there any question for the traffic engineer? I suppose the only question for him is, it's all based. Sorry, he can hear me now. Yeah. So I've forgotten his name. It is. I've got it here, Steve. Oh, I should know. I've got it right in front of me.
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Thank you. The self-storage association document, it's all just simply based on GFA. It's nothing else, isn't it? That's how they do it. They don't look at the size of the units or anything like that. They just say, here's a general GFA for the whole building. But
It's based on the maximum leasable area for each site, and it's sampled a huge number of sites right across Australia. So the rates that come out of that in terms of requirements for parking and trip generation have been derived from data collected at a wide range of sites.
And in this one, there's 12 spaces approved. That includes the longer loading bay spaces. Correct?
Yeah, so from memory, it includes spaces up to the size of MRBs within the overall total. I think the requirement is only 7 spaces, but we're providing 12 in total. So there's an excess of parking provided anyway, which the operator always has the ability to do if the site permits.
Okay. I don't.
To say, I think that's 7 related to the original floor space. If I recall correctly from one of the reports, if the additional GFA is approved as part of this mod application, you would need, on the numbers in the report, all 12. Is that correct?
The requirement is still 7 spaces. It doesn't change based on that overall parking study that was done. The number of spaces doesn't change if it goes above 6,000 square metres leasable area. So it still only requires 7 spaces, but the provision is 12 spaces.
Sorry,
8.
sorry, my apologies. I see what you're saying. It's the additional table. I was looking at the rates, the trip generation rates. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just one quick question. Staff parking. Is it intended that there'd be a staff parking on site?
Sorry.
The answer is yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say yes. The rates inclusive of all parking. So the provision of 12 allows for staff and customers.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. That's all we've got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's
So that concludes the open part of this meeting. We'll now close this up and stop the live streaming, and we'll go into the private session. And as I said earlier, the minutes from our determination will be on the website in 2 or 3 days. Thank you.